Hi guys, it's Michelle, Deception Bites, and I'm going to continue on today with the Q posts, and I'm really going to try not to say as much because I've had several people, some people nasty, other people very politely, said that I say that a lot, and I do, and I realize that when I listen to myself that I'm saying a lot, and it's see, I'm saying it again. And the more I try not to say it, the more it seems that I say it. But I am trying. So just wanted you to be aware of that. So let's continue on with the posts. And we'll start with this one on November 5th. The last one we did was about the Queen of England and so forth, the Satanism. We're going to continue on to the next one, which really is a bunch of codes as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that this is even intended for us. I think it's intended for probably elements within the CIA and FBI that are monitoring that forum. That would be my understanding anyway. And Q also says the graphic is confirmed, and he's talking about the graphic that he requested they make on the 4Chan channel that has all of the posts listed, because 4Chan is notoriously hard to navigate. So it's easy to get lost and then become confused by other posts that seem like they're by Q, but they're really not. So that's why the graphic was necessary, and he confirmed several times throughout that, yep, it's okay. It's everything on that graphic is mine, and it's okay. So that's what he's doing there. And the next one above is the same thing. It looks like coordinates to me, and I don't think it's intended for us. It's intended for somebody that's watching this forum. Whether he's sending a covert message to someone, I would assume so. And he ends it with Godspeed. So we'll move up to the next one. And November 5th, this is at 7:34 p.m. POTUS, you are all heroes. Come home safe. Godspeed. Now, what was happening exactly at this time? That's when the Saudi Arabia purge was happening. So that's what he was talking about. Obviously, there were members of our military and probably other agencies that were involved in that. I believe that to be so. And he was saying, you're all my heroes. Come home safe. He was hoping for a safe return for all that were involved in that. The next one, 7:49 p.m. Now is the time to pray. We're operational. God bless the United States of America. Q. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The next one, November 5th, 7:54. Please pray. Operators are in harm's way. High risk, high value targets. Please pause and give thanks to those who would die to save our republic. More to follow. Q. This actually kind of gets me in the heart, because you realize what he's saying, that there's people that have been placed in harm's way to combat this, to I guess follow through on what's happening with Saudi Arabia, and they're in harm's way. It's high risk. So I don't know if we would even hear if somebody had died in this way, because it was a top secret mission. So I don't know, but I really do sincerely hope that our men and women came home safely. November 5th, 2017, 7:57 p.m. Nothing is a coincidence. We are at war. Saudi Arabia cut the strings. They are scrambling for cover and using any means necessary out of their remaining power/control. God bless. Q. I think, again, this is self-explanatory. He's saying we are at war, and when he's saying we are at war, he means we are at war with the so-called bad actors. Saudi Arabia has cut the strings. They've cut the so-called bad actors off. I think that's what he's meaning here. And they're scrambling for cover, trying to use any means necessary out of whatever power and control they still have left. So pretty self-explanatory. Now, I put this in here, catch up current news, because there's several things happening in the news right now that are related to all this. And I think it's important that we pause and kind of look at them before I go on. The next little bit is got some important pieces in it. So let's take a couple minutes and just catch up on what's happening. First, Donald Trump pulls U.S. out of UN Global Compact on Migration. On eve of international conference, U.S. envoy says plans for more humane strategy is incompatible with U.S. sovereignty. The Trump administration has pulled out of the UN's ambitious plans to create a more humane global strategy on migration, saying involvement in the process interferes with American sovereignty and runs counter to U.S. immigration policies. I don't think it's necessary that I read it all. I think you get the idea, and I say, go for it. I mean, this is awesome. I think it's awesome. You guys may disagree, and if you do, put your reasons down below in the comments. I'd love to read them, but as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see, this is a good thing. So let's go back and see what else we have. Now, this is something that's kind of breaking on the news right now as well. ABC suspends Brian Ross 4 weeks without pay. Of course, that's over the false news story. Late Saturday, ABC News announced it was suspending network investigative reporter Brian Ross 4 weeks without pay for an inaccurate report that aired Friday. The report claimed Donald Trump had directed his eventual national security advisor, Michael Flynn, to contact the Russians while running for president as a candidate. Ross followed up his reporting later that day with a clarification, claiming it was not while Trump was a candidate, but as president-elect. Now, that's a pretty big discrepancy. We deeply regret and apologize for the serious error we made yesterday. The reporting conveyed by Brian Ross during the special report had not been fully vetted through our editorial standards process. As a result of our continued reporting over the next several hours, ultimately we determined the information was wrong, and we corrected the mistake on air and online. Well, not before the stock market took a dive. It is vital we get the story right and retain the trust we have built with our audience. These are our core principles. We fell far short of that yesterday. Effective immediately, Brian Ross will be suspended for 4 weeks without pay, as well he should. All right, let's go back, see what else we have. This one's a very interesting one. Interesting indeed. Okay. Holy crap, Obama just went on the world stage and stabbed Trump in the back. Can anybody claim that they're surprised about this? I was actually, now that I say that, I was a little surprised. I don't know anybody that has the balls for that, to tell you the truth. While former President Obama might have been one smooth talker, anyone who compares his words to the actions can tell he's just that, all talk. Whether you agree with what he did in office or you think he's the worst thing that ever happened to this country, it would be nice for the rest of the world to see that we had the good sense to elect a president that doesn't say one thing and then do another. But alas, that's not the case with our former commander-in-chief. No, it's not. It seems that Barack Hussein Obama might be taking retirement hard, since he can't seem to quit trailing around behind President Trump looking for ways to sabotage what the president is doing. Even though Obama has 8 long years to do his damage, he's still working overtime to try and sink the knife of liberalism into the just recovering country. More recently, he actually followed the president on his tour of Asia, stopping where the president stopped and seeming to apologize for everything that President Trump did while he was on his diplomatic missions. According to Downtrend, during the former president's speech in India, he went so far as to actually attack President Trump on everything from his social media following to Obama's beloved Paris Agreement that POTUS did away with post-haste. Obama's legacy as president was almost entirely based on the something illegal executive orders he issued. He had to know that Donald Trump was going to come in and erase the sad level of achievement, and that's precisely what happened. It has to be disappointing for Obama to realize the only thing he will be remembered for is the color of his skin, and that bitterness is showing. At a speech in India, he repeatedly shit-talked his replacement, showing what his wife meant when she said, "When they go low, we go high." The AP reports that Obama spoke at a leadership forum in New Delhi on Friday. I guess that's kind of like when Hillary Clinton gave a speech on cybersecurity. It's just as important to hear from failures as successes. As you know, Obama is terrified to utter the word Trump because he thinks it will unleash untold evil, and the AP actually made note of this. When former President Barack Obama spoke to a leadership forum in India's capital on Friday, he never used the word Donald Trump and was careful to avoid any direct reference to his successor in the White House. Actually, that's not true. Obama directly referenced Trump many times. Here, he's trying to rub it in that he has more Twitter followers than Trump. "Oh, look, I've got 100 million Twitter followers. I actually have more than other people who use it more often," said Obama, followed by, "Think before you tweet." For the record, even AP was willing to correct the fact that Obama doesn't actually have 100 million followers. He's got 97 million followers, but one can hardly understand why he might be mentally rounding up. What isn't forgivable is why he would personally attack the president for something like pulling out of the Paris Agreement, but that's what he did, calling Trump a climate denier. It's an agreement, even though we have a little bit of a pause in American leadership, that is giving our children a fighting chance, Obama said. A pause in American leadership. Does he mean the 8 years he was in office? That's not a pause, that's a full-on drought. Obama actually continued to attack Trump's leadership. And so if you see a politician doing things that are questionable, one of the things as a citizen is to ask yourself, am I encouraging or supporting or giving license to the values I'm hearing out of the politician? Because frankly, politicians tend to be more of a mirror and more of a reflection of forces in the society, said Obama. If I'm understanding this correctly, while Obama was president, America was lazy and inept? Another way to look at that is that Obama is saying now that Trump is president, America sucks. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and apparently Obama Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and apparently Obama's is that President Trump is doing a bad job. Sadly, he's not even the one who thinks that, and that's okay. What isn't okay is the former president actually following the current president around and trash-talking him behind his back. President Trump has a lot to do while he's in office if he plans to repair the damage done by the Obama administration and make good on his promise to make America great again. If he's going to do that, he needs to be able to keep his eyes forward without someone who might still hold clout in the eyes of the world leaders going behind him and undoing his progress and stabbing him in the back. This flailing attempt by Obama to make President Trump look bad is pathetic at best and treacherous at worst. It's time to put a stop to this, and I would agree. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I can't. It's almost hard for me to believe that. That's never, ever happened in the history of America where a former president has gone and undermined the current commander-in-chief. Okay, let's move on. Okay, there's this one. Again, I'm just kind of catching you up on some of the really recent news. Forgive me for my bonging clock. It's old and I love it, and you've got to wind it up like it's probably 120 years old. You have to wind it up, so there's really no way I can stop it. But all right, I think we'll get over it. GOP rep Gates, we now have smoking gun evidence that Hillary Clinton got special treatment. Oh, really? Wow. Friday on Fox News channels, the Ingram angle, Representative Matt Gaetz, I think that's how you pronounce that, told host Laura Ingraham the House Judiciary Committee had smoking gun evidence former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the 2016 Democratic Party presidential nominee, got special treatment from the Obama Justice Department during the investigation of her use of an unauthorized email server during her tenure. Gaetz argued Clinton didn't deserve special treatment and that she should have been treated like every American. And of course, absolutely, she should have. Ingram, the congressman joining us now, Congressman Gaetz, you have been all over this. People are saying, oh, you just don't understand when they say special investigation and small team. That's just routine kind of lingo, so you're making a big deal over nothing. Gaetz, well, Laura, we have smoking gun evidence that Hillary Clinton got special treatment, and it's important to provide context. We got Loretta Lynch on the tarmac with Bill Clinton. We've got Loretta Lynch telling James Comey to call this a matter and not an investigation. Then we have got James Comey sucking this up to headquarters and keeping the investigators in the Washington, D.C. office away from the Clinton investigation. And then he drafts the exoneration statement before even conducting the interview. In 6 days, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, will be before the House Judiciary Committee, and we need answers because Hillary Clinton didn't deserve special treatment. She should have been treated like every American, and now we know she was not. Just a second. And then Ingram says, do you think that when they say special treatment and the way they designated it, it was just from what you see with all the things you just laid out, was soft pedaling it or shortcutting it, or we know the conclusion, let's just put some window dressing on it so it looks like it's official, but let's wrap this baby up as soon as possible? Is that what you're getting at? Gaetz, well, that's what the evidence suggests. And when you look at the recent documents released about the tarmac meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, the FBI was more worried about spin control and public relations than punishing the person that released this information than they were about the improper conduct of the Attorney General of the United States. And so time and time again, we see from the Obama era that they were determining the outcome before actually conducting the investigation. That's not what the American people deserve, and that's why we're going to fight for a real investigation. Ingram, Congressman, weren't they also desperate to find out who leaked the Clinton meeting on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch? Gaetz, absolutely. Recently discovered emails show that the FBI was very concerned about who let the American people know about that Loretta Lynch was meeting with Bill Clinton, but they weren't at all concerned about the fact that the meeting had occurred and had jeopardized this very critical investigation. So we're really seeing a circumstance where the FBI, the Lynch Department of Justice, was engaged in a cover-up of their activities all at the same time they were determining the outcome of the Hillary Clinton investigation before actually doing it. Ingram, all right, Congressman Gaetz, thanks for that update. So, of course, we already knew this, but it's interesting that it's coming out. And here's just another headline about this, that Trump reloads on FBI's Clinton email probe after reports of tainted anti-Trump agent. President Trump suggested Sunday that news reports about the FBI agent on the agency's Hillary Clinton email investigation, who also opposed Trump, explains why the Clinton case was closed without criminal charges. Report, anti-Trump FBI agent led Clinton email probe. Now it all starts to make sense, Trump said in one of his 3 tweets Sunday on the issue. The Office of Special Counsel, Robert Mueller, confirmed with Fox News on Saturday that agent Peter Strzok had been removed from Mueller's investigation into Russia collusion after the Justice Department's Inspector General started examining Strzok's electronic messages with a colleague, which reportedly included ones that were anti-Trump and pro-Hillary Clinton. So, again, not anything that we don't know, but I wanted to just make you aware of some of this stuff that's coming out in the news. So now we can move along. All right. November 5th, 2017, 7:59 p.m. May God grant all of us the wisdom to ask what concrete steps we can take to reduce the violence and weaponry in our midst. Now, a little background on this. This was after the shooting at the church in Sutherland, was it Sutherland, Texas, I believe? That's when this occurred. And what Q is doing is repeating a tweet that Obama sent out at 4:51 p.m. November, it wasn't November 9th, it was November 5th, I believe. I don't know why I have a 9 in there. Anyway, so Trump is just, because obviously the Democrats are going to use this as an opportunity for gun control, as they always do. It's what they do. But Trump is, well, I don't know that this is Trump. I don't know that Q is Trump. I assume, I don't know. But Q is saying, may God also grant all of us the wisdom to ask what concrete steps we can take to reduce the violence and weaponry in our midst. He's just repeating him, and then note when this was sent. Note when we just, okay, I'm sorry, excuse me. Note when we just sent the go orders and when this tweet went live. Coincidence? Pray. Q. So, I did look at Trump's Twitter and tried to determine what he was talking about before this was tweeted, and the only thing I could find, if I can find it, maybe I didn't put it in here. The only thing I could find that was sent just prior to this, and I don't think that this is right. I don't think it's the right answer. But he tweeted about Saudi Arabia's oil, being the shares being offered. He wanted an opportunity for it to be offered on the New York Stock Exchange instead of China buying, instead of the initial offering being given to China. So I think I've missed it somewhere, but I've gone through all his tweets and I just don't know what he's referring to here, and probably somebody that's listening to this does. So please put it down below in the comments and we'll see and we'll correct it. Okay. November 5th, 2017, 8:03 p.m. Nothing is as it seems. Anon, and that's Q-Anon. What occurred? It flushed, I would assume this was Barack Obama. It flushed Barack Obama out. Why is that relevant? Analyze timestamps of my go message to Barack Obama's tweet. And that's what I'm talking about down here. I did try to do that, but I'm not sure. To me, the tweet that he's referring to is the Armico initial offerings. That's the only thing that I could find. So if somebody knows any differently, please put it down below, because I know that a lot of you do check out the comments. I know I do. So, okay, the next one. Amen, brother. Q. I don't know what he's referring to here, but he may not be even speaking to us. November 5th, 2017, 8:08 p.m. Mainstream media, period. CIA counter-ops, period. Will all fall down, period. Q. He's not asking us anything, he's telling us. He's telling us that mainstream media, which are CIA counter-ops, will all fall down. Q. I think we're seeing that now. That's happening now. So this long one is the last one we're going to do on this particular one anyway, because there's a lot in here. A lot of interesting stuff. November 5th, 2017, 11:34 p.m. Important context. What have you learned about Huma? Now, remember earlier in the tweet, in the messages, the 4Chan messages, we had him talking about Huma, and he was talking about Huma Abedin, and he spelled it capital H-U-M-A. Now we have a different, now it's different, it's all capital letters. So that tells us, he's not referring to Huma the person, he's referring to an organization, and that organization is the Harvard University Muslim Association. So he's asking, what have you learned about the Harvard University Muslim Association? What organization is it? Well, it's the Harvard University Muslim Association. Which U.S. president is affiliated with Huma? Well, I think we can all guess that. It's Obama. Why is that relevant? Well, it's very relevant, especially with what we're just about to find out. What years did this occur? 1988 to 1991. Who funded on behalf of this president? Now, what he's saying is, okay, Obama attended Harvard during 1988 to 1991, okay? His studies were funded by someone. Now, here's the interesting. Now, if you ask him, he'll say, oh, it was just hard work and student loans. Well, not true. Not true at all. It was funded by Khalid al-Mansour, advisor to Walid bin Talal. Now, where have you heard that name before? That's the guy that was arrested. He's one of the richest men in the world. He was arrested by that Saudi prince, and he's being held at the hotel there in, oh gosh, I can never pronounce the name of that place. But anyway, that's who that is. We just covered this actually in, if it wasn't the last video, it might have been the video before. But you know that I guess it was the one on Las Vegas, because he owns the top 4 floors. So, interestingly enough, the guy that paid for Obama's education was advisor to Walid bin Talal, who has ties to ISIS, Muslim Brotherhood, all these things. So this is pretty major. It's pretty major. Now, something else I found when I went to the website for Harvard University. Look at this. The Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Islamic Studies program at Harvard University. Well, well, well. What do you think of that? Yeah. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? I don't think there's any need for me to read through that. If you want to go to Harvard's website, go to Islamic Studies, you'll find it for yourself. But knowing all the ties that this guy has, it's alarming. Okay. So why is this relevant? Why is it relevant that this guy, Khalid al-Mansour, paid for his education? Why is that such a big deal? Well, because he's tied to Saudi royals, and specifically to the ones that were ousted for corruption and money laundering and you name it. What year did this occur? 1988 to 1991. What just happened in Saudi Arabia? Walid bin Talal was arrested. Who was arrested? Now, he's really giving us the answer here, but Walid bin Talal. Funds frozen? He's not asking, he's telling. He's saying his funds were frozen, and yes, they were frozen. Why would this former president be funded pre-political days? Well, that's a good question. That's a very, very good question. Why would he be funded political days. Why would this man fund Barack Obama? I would say it was because he was being groomed. That would be my answer. Then Q says, repeat. Important. Just 1 second. Why would this former president be funded pre-political days? Why is this relevant? Or what? Oh, why is the relevance? That doesn't make sense, but it should be, what is the relevance? He was groomed. It's plain and simple to me. That's what I would say. If anyone thinks otherwise, they can leave comments below and I will look at them, but I don't think that there's any other answer to that. Was the Muslim Brotherhood affiliated to any of these organizations, people? Well, yeah, to Walid bin Talal, and that should be in red because that's my answer. And Khalid al-Mansour. Fast forward. Why are the events in Saudi Arabia so important? Because Walid bin Talal was arrested. Why was Jared Kushner in Saudi Arabia recently? Well, I have this here. Okay, this is why. The Trump administration has said its strategy is to try to draw in neighboring Arab leaders to play a role in Middle East peace. Jared has always been driven to try and solve the Israel-Palestinian dispute, said billionaire real estate investor Tom Barrack, a longtime friend and close Trump confidant. The key to solving that dispute is Egypt, and the key to Egypt is Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. So that's the answer. That's why he was there. He's working on Middle East peace. Why was POTUS' last tweet regarding Saudi Arabia prior to the happening? And I'm not exactly sure what he's saying here because, again, it's not phrased properly. Why was POTUS' last tweet regarding Saudi Arabia prior to the happening? And I don't know because I couldn't find the answer to that. But again, I'm quite confident that somebody out there has the answer, and I'd love to know. Why was POTUS' Twitter taken down days before under cover of a rogue employee? Well, Twitter was taken down November 2nd. The purge happened November 4th. Okay, so it's pretty evident that it was happening right before that happened, and I think that it was to cut off his method of communication. I can't think of any other reason, but it's directly linked to Walid bin Talal, as we'll see, because he is the largest shareholder in Twitter. So, not a coincidence. Who was arrested in Saudi Arabia? Prince Walid bin Talal. He's saying refocus again. Who was arrested in Saudi Arabia? Prince Walid bin Talal. Any ownership stakes in U.S. companies? Oh, yes, lots. Twitter, Citigroup, Four Seasons Hotel, and there's others. Why is this relevant? Well, and then he tells us. He says, why is this relevant? And then he tells us Twitter. And I said, obviously, because he's the largest shareholder in Twitter. Las Vegas. Well, Las Vegas, the top four hotels, or the top four floors were owned by Four Seasons Hotel, and Four Seasons is owned by none other than Walid bin Talal. So he's got his dirty little fingers in that too. Recent events. Why would investment be made in a former president pre-political days? He's asking the same question over and over because he's saying it's important. That's the only reason to repeat something, is to emphasize it and to show its importance. He was being groomed. I think it's obvious. What years did this occur? 88 to 91. It should be in red. What faith does Huma represent? And he's talking here of the organization, the Harvard University Muslim Association. And it's Muslim, of course. What faith does the Muslim Brotherhood represent? Well, duh, Muslim. What faith does Huma represent? Now it's lowercase. So it's not, he's not talking about Harvard University. He's talking about Huma, the person. And she's Muslim. Who are the bad actors? Well, it's almost like he wants me to say, or not me, us, to say Muslim. But I don't think every Muslim is a bad actor. So I don't really know what he's looking for. I mean, we know who the bad actors are just because of going through all his different posts. But I'm not sure what he's looking for here. Who funds majority of U.S. senior politicians? Well, Saudi Arabia. And then he says Fantasyland, Fantasyland. And I think that is referring to Saudi Arabia, I believe. Was the former president of the United States groomed to be commander-in-chief? So now he's coming at it a different way. He's asked the question 3 times one way. Now he's asking it again in another way. Yes, he was, I believe. Is this possible? Of course it's possible. It happens all the time. I think Hillary was groomed to be president, but oops, too bad. Is the U.S. political/election system corrupt? Yes, I think we all know it is. Who owns poll machines? Now, here's something interesting, and I'm not quite sure how to approach this because I know that there's been a lot of talk about Soros owning the polling machines, but I cannot find any concrete evidence of that. So if anybody has concrete evidence, could you put it below in the comments? Because I've been looking and I can't find it. So I believe it's probably there. I believe that there's probably a connection there, which is so frustrating to me because I kept looking and looking and looking and I couldn't get it. And I was getting very frustrated. But I believe that it's there. Q is certainly telling us it's there. Why is this relevant? Well, it's relevant because if Soros owns it and he wanted Hillary to win, then I think Q is telling us that, you know, the idea was to rig the poll so that Hillary would win. And then he confirms this by saying, they never thought she would lose. They never thought she would lose. Fantasyland, period. Fantasyland, period. The complete picture would put 99% of Americans, the world, in a hospital. POTUS is our savior. Well, I do take exception to this because POTUS is not my savior. It doesn't have a capital, so I know that he's using it, hopefully, not in the sense that he is the savior, but that he is the savior of our country. So I'm not going to take too much issue with this, except that I do because it's not capitalized. But if it was capitalized, I'd have a very big problem with that. So I'm just putting that out there. And then he says, pray, period. Operators are active, period. We are at war, period. Good night, Barack Obama. Snow White, period. Godfather 3, period. Q. Snow White, I believe, is Snowden. Godfather 3, I've heard several people say different things, and I'm still not 100% sure who it is. So that's it for this one. Some interesting tidbits in there. I'm just seeing if I missed anything. Oh, yes. Okay. The POTUS last tweet prior to Saudi Arabia happening was, would very much appreciate Saudi Arabia doing their IPO of Armaco with the New York Stock Exchange. Important to the United States. So I'm not sure if that's the answer, but that's the only thing I could find that would fit within that. So, and I don't think I went here. This has some really interesting things in it. Okay. Fast as a turtle. Okay. This is interesting. And I mean, I've already said this, but this has a lot more information. Barack Obama was closely associated as early as age 25 to a key advisor to a Wahhabite millionaire member of the Saudi royal family, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who has financed organizations in the U.S. which have been linked to terrorism. Yes, he has. In a videotaped interview in 2008 on Wall Street's all-news cable channel, New York 1, Perry Sutton, the former borough president of Manhattan, revealed the unusual circumstances about his first encounter with the young Obama. I was introduced to Obama by a friend who was raising money for him, Sutton told New York 1 City Hall reporter Dominic Carter. The friend's name is Dr. Khalid Al-Mansour from Texas, Sutton said. He is the principal advisor to one of the world's richest men. He told me about Obama. So Khalid Al-Mansour was raising the money. He was advisor to Walid bin Talal, the richest man, or one of the world's richest men, and certainly has wide swinging ties to terrorism. Sutton, the founder of Inner City Broadcasting, said Al-Mansour contacted him to ask a favor. Would Sutton write a letter in support of Obama's application to Harvard Law School? Sutton said he acted on his friend Al-Mansour's advice. A graduate of Howard University with a law degree from the University of California, Al-Mansour sits on numerous corporate boards, including the Saudi African Bank and Chicago-based Legray chemical company Legray, which was formed to do business in Africa. In the 1960s, when he founded the African American Association in the San Francisco Bay Area, he was known as Donald Warden. According to the Social Activism Project at the University of California at Berkeley, Donald Warden, aka Khalid Al-Mansour, was the mentor of Black Panther Party founder Huey Newton and his cohort Bobby Seale. At the time, Percy Sutton, a former business partner of Al-Mansour, said he was raising money for Obama's graduate school education. Al-Mansour was representing top members of the Saudi royal family seeking to do business and exert influence in the United States. Things that make you go, In 1989, for example, just 1 year after Obama entered Harvard Law School, the Los Angeles Times reported that Al-Mansour was advising Saudi billionaire Abdul Aziz and Khalid Al-Ibrahim, nephew of King Fahd, in their secret effort to acquire major stake in prime oceanfront property in Marina del Rey, California. I do tend to slaughter the Islamic names. Forgive me. At the time, he was the senior advisor to Prince Al-Walid bin Talal in his U.S. investments and was on board of his premier investment vehicle, Kingdom Holdings. Prince Al-Walid, now 57, is the nephew of Saudi King Abdullah. He owns large chunks of Citigroup and News Corp, the holding company that controls Fox News. He is best known in the United States for his offer to donate $10 million to help rebuild downtown Manhattan after the 9/11 attacks. But after the prince made a public comment suggesting the U.S. policies had contributed to causing the attacks, Mayor Rudy Giuliani handed back his check. Good for him. Since then, Prince Al-Walid Kingdom Foundation has given millions of dollars to Muslim charities in the United States, including several whose leaders have been indicted on terrorism-related charges in federal courts. Kingdom Foundation Director Muna Abu Sulaiman is the daughter of Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, who is currently chairman of the board and trustee of International Institute of Islamic Thought, IIIT, and its former president and founding member. IIIT was founded in the U.S. in 1980 by the Muslim Brotherhood. IIIT was associated with the now defunct SAAR Foundation, a network of Islamic organizations located in Northern Virginia that was raided by the federal government in 2003 in connection with the financing of terrorism. In May 2007, the U.S. filed an action against the Holy Land Foundation, the largest Muslim charity in the United States at the time, for providing funds to Hamas, and federal prosecutors filed pleadings. Along with 300 other organizations, they listed CAIR and the Islamic Society of North America, largest Muslim umbrella organization in the United States, as unindicted co-conspirators. Prince Al-Walid bin Talal has financed both the Islamic Society of North America and CAIR. So, I think that's where we're going to stop tonight. I think I've kind of hit on everything that's pertinent in that post of Q's. We've gotten, we're coming there. We're getting there. And I will hopefully upload another one tomorrow, and I hope you're all doing well, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. In that. The next one, 7:49 p.m. Now is the time to pray. We're operational. God bless the United States of America. Q. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The next one, November 5th, 7:54. Please pray. Operators are in harm's way. High risk, high value targets. Please pause and give thanks to those who would die to save our republic. More to follow. Q. This actually kind of gets me in the heart, because you realize what he's saying, that there's people that have been placed in harm's way to combat this, to I guess, follow through on what's happening with Saudi Arabia, and they're in harm's way. It's high risk. So I don't know if we would even hear if somebody had died in this way, because it was a top secret mission. So I don't know, but I really do sincerely hope that our men and women came home safely. November 5th, 2017, 7:57 p.m. Nothing is a coincidence. We are at Navigate. So it's easy to get lost and then become confused by other posts that seem like they're by Q, but they're really not. So that's why the graphic was necessary, and he confirmed several times throughout that, yep, it's okay. It's everything on that graphic is mine, and it's okay. So that's what he's doing there. And the next one above is the same thing. It looks like coordinates to me, and I don't think it's intended for us. It's intended for somebody that's watching this forum. Whether he's sending a covert message to someone, I would assume so. And he ends it with Godspeed. So we'll move up to the next one. And November 5th, this is at 7:34 p.m. POTUS, you are all heroes. Come home safe. Godspeed. Now, what was happening exactly at this time? That's when the Saudi Arabia purge was happening. So that's what he was talking about. Obviously, there were members of our military and probably other agencies that were involved in that. I believe that to be so. And he was saying, you're all my heroes. Come home safe. He was hoping for a safe return for all that were involved. International conference. U.S. envoy says plans for more humane strategy is incompatible with U.S. sovereignty. The Trump administration has pulled out of the UN's ambitious plans to create a more humane global strategy on migration, saying involvement in the process interferes with American sovereignty and runs counter to U.S. immigration policies. I don't think it's necessary that I read it all. I think you get the idea, and I say, go for it. I mean, this is awesome. I think it's awesome. You guys may disagree, and if you do, put your reasons down below in the comments. I'd love to read them, but as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see, this is a good thing. So let's go back and see what else we have. Now, this is something that's kind of breaking on the news right now as well. ABC suspends Brian Ross 4 weeks without pay. Of course, that's over the false news story. Late Saturday, ABC News announced it was suspending network investigative reporter reporter Brian Ross 4 weeks without pay for an inaccurate report that aired Friday. The report claimed Donald Trump had directed his eventual national war. Saudi Arabia cut the strings. They are scrambling for cover and using any means necessary out of their remaining power/control. God bless. Q. I think, again, this is self-explanatory. He's saying we are at war, and when he's saying we are at war, he means we are at war with the so-called bad actors. Saudi Arabia has cut the strings. They've cut the so-called bad actors off. I think that's what he's meaning here, and they're scrambling for cover, trying to use any means necessary out of whatever power and control they still have left. So, pretty self-explanatory. Now, I put this in here, catch up current news, because there's several things happening in the news right now that are related to all this. And I think it's important that we pause and kind of look at them before I go on. The next little bit is got some important pieces in it. So let's take a couple minutes and just catch up on what's happening. First, Donald Trump pulls U.S. out of UN Global Compact on Migration on eve of... Hi guys, it's Michelle, Deception Bites, and I'm going to continue on today with the Q posts, and I'm really going to try not to say as much because I've had several people, some people nasty, other people very politely, said that I say that a lot, and I do. And I realize that when I listen to myself that I'm saying a lot, and it's, see, I'm saying it again. And the more I try not to say it, the more it seems that I say it. But I am trying, so just wanted you to be aware of that. So let's continue on with the posts, and we'll start with this one on November 5th. The last one we did was about the Queen of England and so forth, the Satanism. We're going to continue on to the next one, which really is a bunch of codes as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that this is even intended for us. I think it's intended for probably elements within the CIA and FBI that are monitoring that forum. That would be my understanding anyway. And Q also says the graphic is confirmed, and he's talking about the graphic that he requested they make on the 4chan channel that has all of the posts listed, because 4chan is notoriously hard to